A journey through the primate world. A relaxing educational story to help you relax, learn, and sleep. Opening. The ancient forest. Close your eyes and imagine you are walking through an ancient forest. The air is warm and humid, filled with the gentle rustling of leaves high above. Shafts of golden sunlight filter through the emerald canopy, creating dancing patterns on the forest floor below. This is a place where time moves differently, where our closest relatives in the animal kingdom have made their homes for millions of years. Take a deep breath and let yourself drift back in time. Back 65 million years ago, when the age of dinosaurs had ended and small tree-dwelling creatures began to emerge. These were the earliest primates, our shared ancestors. They were no bigger than modern shrews, with grasping hands and forward-facing eyes that helped them navigate the complex world of branches and leaves. As you walk deeper into this timeless forest, you begin to understand that you are about to meet a remarkable family, the primates. From the tiniest mouse lemur to the mighty mountain gorilla, each species tells a story of adaptation, intelligence, and survival. Let your mind wander as we begin this gentle journey together. Chapter 1. The Lemurs of Madagascar. Our first stop takes us to an island that broke away from Africa over 100 million years ago, Madagascar. Here, in splendid isolation, lemurs evolved into forms found nowhere else on Earth. The word lemur comes from the Latin word for ghost, and as you observe these creatures in the dappled moonlight of a Madagascar forest, you understand why. Picture a ring-tailed lemur sitting peacefully on a sun-warmed rock. Its long, striped tail curls around its body like a soft scarf. These lemurs are matriarchal. The females lead their troops with quiet authority. They communicate through scent, marking trees and rocks with special glands, leaving invisible messages for others to read, like a secret language written in molecules. Watch as the ringtail lifts its face to the morning sun, arms outstretched in what scientists call sun worship. It's not actually worshipping, but rather warming its body after the cool night, positioning itself to catch every precious ray. There's something deeply meditative about this daily ritual, a reminder to embrace warmth and light whenever we find it. Now imagine the largest of all lemurs, the Indri. Nearly the size of a small child, it moves through the canopy with surprising grace. The Indri has no tail, and its face is almost human-like in its expressions, but it's their voice that truly captivates. Their songs can be heard for miles through the forest. Family groups sing together in the early morning, their haunting melodies echoing off the hills like nature's own cathedral choir. These songs aren't just beautiful, they're functional. The Indri families are announcing their territory, staying in touch with distant relatives, and sharing information about food sources. Each song is unique to the family, passed down through generations like a musical tradition. As you listen to their ethereal calls drifting through the mist, you realize you're witnessing something that has remained unchanged for thousands of years, the living link to our own distant past. Chapter 2. The Old World Monkeys. Our journey now takes us across the vast, blue expanse of the Indian Ocean to the forests and savannas of Africa and Asia. Here live the old world monkeys, sophisticated societies that will remind you of our own in surprising ways. Let yourself drift down to the edge of a slow-moving river in Africa, where a troop of vervet monkeys begins their day. The early morning light catches in their silver-gray fur as they move with practiced ease through the acacia trees. These monkeys have developed something extraordinary, a complex language of warning calls. Listen carefully. That sharp bark means leopard approaching from the ground. The listening monkeys immediately climb higher, but hear how different the call becomes. A cough-like grunt that means eagle overhead. Now the monkeys look up and seek cover under branches. A third call, almost a chatter, warns of a python, and the monkeys carefully examine every branch before moving. This isn't instinct, it's learned behavior passed from parent to child. Young vervets must learn to identify each predator and give the correct call. Sometimes they make mistakes, calling eagle at a falling leaf, but the adults are patient teachers, guiding them gently toward accuracy. Now shift your attention to the other side of the river, where a very different society thrives. The baboons are gathering for their morning social hour. These large, powerful primates live in troops that can number over 100 individuals. Their society is complex, filled with friendships, rivalries, and intricate politics. Watch as two female baboons sit together, grooming each other's fur with infinite patience. This isn't just about cleanliness, it's about relationship building. The time spent carefully removing parasites and debris is an investment in friendship. These grooming partnerships will last for years, and the friends will support each other during conflicts and help raise each other's young. See how the dominant male sits slightly apart, his massive frame and impressive mane marking his status. But his position isn't maintained through force alone. It requires intelligence, strategic thinking, and the ability to form alliances. The most successful baboon leaders are those who can navigate the complex social web of their troop with wisdom and diplomacy. As the sun climbs higher, the baboons begin their daily journey across the savannah. They move in a carefully organized formation, the dominant individuals in the center with the youngest babies, while scouts and guards range along the edges. This isn't random, it's a sophisticated military formation that has evolved over thousands of years to protect the most vulnerable members of their society. Chapter 3: The New World Monkeys. Our journey now carries us across the Atlantic to the emerald depths of the Amazon rainforest. Here, high in the canopy, where most humans never venture, live the New World monkeys, primates that evolved in complete isolation from their Old World cousins for over 30 million years. Feel the humid warmth of the rainforest canopy as you observe a family of howler monkeys beginning their morning ritual. The dominant male inflates his throat sac, a resonating chamber that amplifies his voice to incredible volume. His roar carries for miles through the forest, a deep, haunting sound that seems to embody the very spirit of the jungle. This isn't aggression, it's communication. Each howler troop is announcing their location to their neighbors, establishing territorial boundaries without the need for physical confrontation. It's a system that has prevented countless conflicts. for millions of years, a reminder that the loudest voice isn't always looking for a fight. Now notice the spider monkeys swinging through the trees nearby. They move with a fluid grace that seems to defy gravity, their long arms and specialized hands carrying them through three-dimensional highways that exist nowhere else on Earth. Their movements are so smooth and coordinated that watching them is like observing a slow-motion dance. Spider monkeys have evolved something remarkable. Their thumbs have nearly disappeared, leaving them with 4 long, curved fingers on each hand. This adaptation makes them supreme specialists of the canopy, able to swing from branch to branch with incredible speed and precision. They are the gymnasts of the primate world, and their aerial ballet continues from dawn to dusk. But perhaps the most enchanting of all New World primates are the tiny squirrel monkeys. No bigger than a human hand, they move through the understory in troops that can number in the hundreds. Their enormous eyes give them an almost mystical appearance, and their soft calls sound like whispered conversations in an ancient language. Watch as they forage for insects and fruit, their delicate fingers exploring every crevice and leaf. They have an almost supernatural ability to find food that other animals miss, and their presence in the forest helps maintain the delicate balance of this complex ecosystem. Chapter 4. The Great Apes, our closest relatives. Now our journey takes us to meet our closest living relatives, the great apes. In the dense forests of Africa and the islands of Southeast Asia, these remarkable beings live lives that will touch your heart with their similarities to our own. Begin in the mountain forests of Rwanda, where morning mist clings to ancient volcanic slopes. Here, in small clearings surrounded by giant hagenia trees, live the mountain gorillas. There are fewer than 1,000 of these magnificent creatures left in the world, making each encounter precious beyond measure. Observe a silverback male, 400 pounds of pure power, yet moving with surprising gentleness as he settles beside a patch of wild celery. His massive hands, capable of incredible strength, delicately strip leaves from stems with the precision of a master chef. He chews slowly, contemplatively, his intelligent eyes occasionally meeting yours with a gaze that seems to hold ancient wisdom. The silverback is not just the leader of his family group. He is their protector, provider, and decision maker. When the group moves, he determines the direction. When they rest, he chooses the spot. But his authority comes not from violence, but from a deep sense of responsibility. Watch how gently he interacts with the young gorillas who tumble around his massive frame, allowing them to climb on him like a living playground. The bond between gorilla mothers and their babies is profoundly moving. A mother gorilla carries her infant against her chest for months, providing not just nourishment, but constant physical comfort and emotional security. As the baby grows, she becomes its first teacher, showing it which plants are safe to eat, how to build a sleeping nest, and the complex social rules of gorilla society. Young gorillas learn through play, just as human children do. They wrestle, chase each other, and practice the skills they'll need as adults. Their play is full of laughter. Yes, gorillas laugh. A soft panting sound that expresses joy and amusement. It's a sound that bridges the gap between species and reminds us of our shared evolutionary heritage. Now let your imagination carry you to the forests of West Africa, where chimpanzees live in complex societies that scientists are still working to understand fully. A chimpanzee community is like a small town with various neighborhoods, political alliances, and social hierarchies that shift and change over time. Watch as a group of chimpanzees gathers around a termite mound. They're not just eating, they're using tools. See how carefully each chimp selects a thin stick, strips away the side branches, and then probes it into the termite mound. When they withdraw the stick, it's covered with protein-rich termites. This isn't instinct, it's learned technology, passed down through generations of careful teaching and observation. Different chimpanzee communities have different tool-using traditions, just as human cultures have different technologies. Some use stones to crack nuts, others use leaves as sponges to collect water, and still others use sticks to extract honey from beehives. These are cultural traditions, varying from place to place, maintained through social learning. Chimpanzee relationships are complex and emotionally rich. They form friendships that can last decades, comfort each other in times of distress, and even appear to mourn their dead. They have been observed sitting quietly beside the body of a deceased family member, gently touching them as if saying goodbye. Cross the narrow strait to the island of Borneo, where orangutans live a more solitary existence high in the forest canopy. These red-haired apes are the most arboreal of all great apes, spending nearly their entire lives in the trees. A mother orangutan and her offspring may not touch the ground for months at a time. The relationship between a mother orangutan and her child is one of the longest in the animal kingdom. Young orangutans stay with their mothers for up to 8 years, learning the complex skills needed to survive in the forest canopy. They must learn to identify hundreds of different fruit trees, know when each species bears fruit, and remember the location of trees across miles of forest. Watch as a mother orangutan constructs a sleeping nest, carefully selecting and weaving branches together to create a comfortable platform 40 feet above the ground. She'll build a new nest every night, and her young one watches intently, learning this essential skill through patient observation. Chapter 5. The Wisdom of Community. As our journey through the primate world continues, pause to consider what we've learned about the power of community. In every primate society we visited, survival depends not just on individual strength or intelligence, but on the complex web of relationships that bind groups together. Return to the baboon troop we visited earlier, now resting during the heat of midday. Notice how the younger members of the troop gather around an elderly female. She's too old to fight, too slow to escape predators, yet she holds a position of respect and influence. Why? Because she carries within her memory decades of experience, knowledge of where to find water during droughts, which foods are safe during famines, and how to navigate social conflicts without violence. In human societies, we call such individuals elders, and we're learning that many primate species share our respect for accumulated wisdom. The oldest female elephants lead their herds, The most experienced wolves lead their packs, and among primates, age often brings authority based on knowledge rather than physical power. Consider the bonobo societies of the Congo Basin, where conflicts are resolved not through aggression, but through affection and cooperation. Bonobos have evolved a remarkable approach to social tension. They literally make love, not war. When conflicts arise, bonobos engage in gentle physical contact that reduces stress and reaffirms social bonds. This isn't mere behavior, it's a sophisticated social technology that maintains group cohesion while minimizing violence. Bonobo societies are notably peaceful, with conflicts rare and brief. Females often band together to prevent male aggression, creating a social structure where cooperation trumps competition. Watch as a group of bonobos shares a meal of ripe fruit. There's no fighting, no dominance displays. Instead, they share generously, often offering choice pieces to others before taking them themselves. Young bonobos learn from an early age that generosity and kindness are valued traits, and that the success of the group ensures the success of the individual. Among Japanese macaques, researchers have documented the spread of cultural innovations that mirror human technological progress. In 1953, a young female named Imo began washing sweet potatoes in a stream before eating them, removing sand and salt. Other young macaques copied her behavior, and within a few years, potato washing had become a cultural tradition in her troop. But the innovation didn't stop there. Imo later discovered that washing the potatoes in salt water not only cleaned them, but seasoned them as well. This refinement also spread through the community, demonstrating that primates, like humans, can improve upon existing technologies and pass these improvements to future generations. Chapter 6. Communication Beyond Words. In the quiet of the forest evening, as shadows lengthen and the day's heat begins to fade, primate communities engage in their most sophisticated communications. These conversations happen not just in sound, but in gesture, touch, and expression, a rich tapestry of meaning that reveals the depth of primate emotional and intellectual life. Return to the chimpanzee community as they settle in for the evening. Watch carefully as two friends approach each other after a day apart. They don't simply acknowledge each other, they embrace, holding each other in what can only be described as a hug. Their greeting is warm, affectionate, and unmistakably joyful. Chimpanzees have a gestural vocabulary that rivals that of human toddlers. They point to objects they want, raise their arms to request to be lifted, and extend their hands palm up to ask for food. They comfort distressed friends with gentle touches, and mothers discipline their children with specific gestures that clearly communicate boundaries and expectations. But perhaps most remarkably, chimpanzees can learn human sign language when taught by patient researchers. Washoe, a female chimpanzee, learned over 250 signs and could combine them to create new meanings. When she first saw a swan, having learned signs for water and bird, she spontaneously created the phrase waterbird to describe what she was seeing. Coco, a western lowland gorilla, mastered over 1,000 signs and demonstrated an emotional complexity that touched millions of people worldwide. She could discuss her feelings, make jokes, and even lie when she had done something she knew was wrong. When asked about death, she described it as comfortable whole by, showing an understanding of abstract concepts that was previously thought to be uniquely human. These linguistic achievements aren't just interesting curiosities, they reveal that the cognitive foundations for language existed long before humans evolved speech. The great apes already possessed the mental frameworks necessary for symbolic communication. They simply lacked the vocal apparatus to express it in sounds. In the wild, gorilla families communicate through a vocabulary of over 40 different vocalizations, each with specific meaning. The soft rumbling sounds mothers make to their babies are different from the barks they use to warn of danger, which are different again from the contentment sounds they make while feeding. These vocalizations form a complex language that maintains family bonds and coordinates group activities. Chapter 7: Intelligence and Problem Solving. As night falls over our imaginary primate world, let your mind wander to contemplate the remarkable intelligence we've witnessed throughout our journey. In laboratories and research centers around the world, scientists continue to discover new depths to primate cognitive abilities, revealing minds that are far more sophisticated than we once believed possible. Picture a chimpanzee named Ayumu, living in a research facility in Japan, sitting before a computer screen. Numbers from 1 to 9 flash briefly on the screen, then disappear, replaced by white squares. Ayumu must touch the squares in numerical order, remembering where each number was positioned. He can do this faster and more accurately than most humans, demonstrating a photographic memory that astounds researchers. This isn't a trained trick, it's evidence of cognitive abilities that we're only beginning to understand. Chimpanzees possess working memory capacities that in some domains exceed our own. They can hold complex spatial information in their minds and manipulate it in ways that suggest sophisticated mental processing. Move now to a forest clearing, where orangutans face a puzzle box containing their favorite fruit. The box requires a series of precise manipulations, pulling levers, turning knobs, and lifting latches in exactly the right sequence. Watch as an adult female approaches the box, studies it carefully, then begins working through the sequence with deliberate precision. What makes this remarkable is that she solved this puzzle months ago. Her success isn't based on trial and error, but on memory and planning. She has formed a mental model of the solution and can execute it flawlessly. When researchers present her with variations of the puzzle, she adapts her approach, showing flexible thinking that adjusts to new challenges. Young orangutans learn these problem-solving skills by watching their mothers with intense concentration. They don't just copy the actions, they seem to understand the underlying principles. When given similar, but not identical puzzles, they can apply the lessons they've learned to find novel solutions. Consider the tool use we've observed throughout our journey. Chimpanzees not only use sticks to fish for termites, but modify those sticks to make them more effective tools. They strip away leaves, fray the ends to make them more sticky, and even carry toolkits containing different implements for different tasks. Some populations of chimpanzees have developed a sophisticated understanding of percussion. They use stones as hammers and anvils to crack open nuts, but they don't just pound randomly. They understand concepts of force, angle, and pressure. They can adjust their technique based on the hardness of the nut and the quality of their tools. Even more remarkably, some chimpanzees have learned to save particularly good hammer stones, carrying them from tree to tree rather than searching for new ones at each location. This shows not just tool use, but tool curation, a level of planning and foresight that demonstrates complex temporal reasoning. Capuchin monkeys in South America have independently evolved their own stone tool technology. They use rocks to crack open palm nuts, and different populations have developed different techniques, creating distinct technological traditions that are passed down through generations. Closing. The circle of connection. As our gentle journey through the primate world draws to a close, let yourself rest beside a quiet stream in an ancient forest. The water flows softly over smooth stones, creating a peaceful melody that has remained unchanged for millions of years. In this timeless place, surrounded by the presence of our primate relatives, we can reflect on the profound connections that bind all life together. Throughout our journey, we've seen that primates are not so different from ourselves. They form loving families, maintain lifelong friendships, and live in complex societies governed by cooperation and mutual support. They mourn their dead, celebrate their joys, and pass wisdom from generation to generation. They use tools, solve problems, and create cultures that vary from place to place. They communicate with sophisticated languages of gesture, sound, and expression. They show compassion for the suffering, kindness to the young, and respect for the elderly. In many ways, observing primates is like looking into a mirror that reflects our own deepest nature. We see in them the evolutionary foundations of everything we value most about humanity: our capacity for love, our intelligence, our creativity, and our profound need for social connection. But this mirror also shows us our responsibilities. Many of the primates we've met tonight are endangered, their populations dwindling as forests disappear and human activities encroach on their ancient homes. The mountain gorillas number fewer than 1,000 individuals. Many lemur species are down to their last few hundred members. Yet, there is hope. Around the world, dedicated researchers, conservationists, and local communities are working to protect these remarkable beings. Forests are being preserved, corridors are being created to connect fragmented habitats, and people are learning to see primates not as resources to be exploited, but as family members to be protected. Every time we choose products that don't contribute to deforestation, every time we support conservation organizations, every time we teach a child to value and respect other species, we strengthen the threads that connect us to our primate relatives. As you drift towards sleep, carry with you the images from our journey: the gentle mountain gorilla sharing his breakfast with his family, the wise old baboon matriarch leading her troop to safety, the tiny mouse lemur beginning its nocturnal hunt, the chimpanzee mother patiently teaching her child to use tools. Remember that these beings share with us a common ancestor, a common planet, and a common future. In protecting them, we protect something essential about ourselves: In learning from them, we discover truths about cooperation, community, and compassion that can guide us toward a better world. Let the soft sounds of the night forest lull you into peaceful dreams, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, primate families are settling in for the night, just as humans have done for thousands of years. We are all part of the same ancient story, all branches on the same tree of life, all participants in the grand adventure of consciousness on Earth. Sleep well and dream of our remarkable primate family, past, present, and future.